So as we've talked about, some of the past solutions that the country has attempted to address the problem, I want to move on now to really talk about the future and what's going to happen in the next 50 years. So, first we want to focus on life sciences innovation. Over the past decade, there's been significant advances in life sciences industries when it comes to gene and cell therapy and other biopharma innovations. Time to market, I would say, and production costs are really a priority in this area. Lynn, what are your thoughts on how the life sciences industry will or should view the cost benefit analysis of these types of innovations that are really like on the forefront right now?
I'm so glad you asked the question in life sciences. I'm very proud of the fact that although our roots come from managed care, it was back in the early 90s that we expanded our practice to include the life sciences part of the healthcare industry to be able to service their FDA as well as their coding coverage and payment needs. And I am a coding coverage and payment lawyer. I love working with the inventors. They need capital. Capital needs a return on investment, and there's tremendous competition for the premium dollars. We all need to be more sophisticated on whether some new invention is a high cost item or cost effective in the long run, or perhaps superior quality breakthrough, and regardless of whether the payer is the same payer year to year and whether the payer is government or private sector. The challenge is that we don't really have standards for how to do these analyses. So if a commercial company prepares that type of analysis, it's unclear whether the payer community is willing to accept the parameters of that. The other challenge we have is about coding coverage and payment pathways. Because of our diverse public-private partnership, the coding system, the coverage system, and even the payment system needs to be somewhat more predictable, and it's becoming more transparent. This is particularly important for new innovations in the area of personalized medicine and in digital health. And we need reliable data. And if life sciences is going to rely on positive outcomes to get paid for their widget, then we all need to know that the data is reliable data. And we're fortunate to have had the electronic health record and the new data lakes that are occurring. And I'm very much looking forward to the way we use data to help companies bring new products to market quicker, faster, and with data that will convince the payers that it's a legitimate new invention to pay for.
Lynn, you said a lot there. I want to take a step back and unpack some of those comments that you made related to innovation in life sciences. So first, Mark, what are your thoughts on weighing this balance? There's going to be criticism that the U.S. spends a lot in life sciences innovation. The flip side of that is that in the long run, we invest the money up front. In the long run, there's going to be overall cost savings. What are your thoughts on
Well, I think Lynn does take us back to the same question that we were ruminating on at the outset that Professor Haverhurst noted, and that is, as she said, coverage standards are as a matter of consensus. As new therapies are available, there is incentive to adopt them. Again, to Lynn's point, that's not necessarily bad. Society may want to heavily invest in therapies for its citizens. We just have to acknowledge that those incentives are present and give room for countervailing processes, such as value-based purchasing, to constrain the excesses. Because at some level, we're reliant on clinicians to make the right choice on a cost-effective basis as to what's right for their patients. And so we need them incented to make a cost-effective choice.
At Epstein Becker Green, I'm really proud to work with some of the leading healthcare innovators in the field of life sciences. And, to me, this issue is personal. Some of you may know I'm a pediatric bone cancer survivor. an amputee, and I credit my life. I was given 10% chance of survival in 1973, and but for medical innovation, I wouldn't be on the podcast here with you today. So I think we don't want to do anything to take our foot off the accelerator to ensure that America leads in the area of innovation and technological discovery. But we know that some of these costs, particularly these Me Too solutions, we just can't afford to continue to pay for that. So we're seeing much more now. For example, some people are concerned about the high cost, for example, of hepatitis C drugs. But for example, when you compare that to the overall cost of what it would previous cost to actually treat somebody with Hep C, it's actually a good deal, many of these pharmaceutical solutions. So I think we're going to see much more implementation of value-based drug pricing. We know there are some examples right now, Lynn, right? With, for example, Aetna and Merck have a value-based drug pricing scheme with the product Januvia. So if Aetna covers Januvia and it doesn't meet certain A1C thresholds and blood sugar outcomes, Merck doesn't get paid. And we're going to, I think, see many more examples of that where insurers and others will pay for products if they actually do what they say they're going to do.
Ted, I totally agree with you. And I want to give a little shout out to CMS in two areas. In their coverage department, doing coverage with evidence development rather than say no. So it gives products, particularly medical devices, the opportunity to get coverage. And then if the data shows what they promised, they're allowed permanent coverage. And if it doesn't show what they promised, then CMS has a better leverage to say no later. And CMMI, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation, where multiple payers, Medicare, Medicaid, commercial insurance can come together to be able to help cover in a unique way a particular new invention. And I think here the public sector is leading on innovations around social determinants of health, but every ERISA plan has its opportunity to cover what it wants to cover. And I do think more and more ERISA plans are speaking up and doing things even ahead of government programs. And I'm looking forward to bringing many of these things to market with our clients because they're very innovative. And then we provide that innovation to the world, not just to the US market. And because we have multiple payers, if one says no, there's another door to go into to see if somebody might say yes.
Lynn, you mentioned personalized medicine, and I know that's something that's coming up here right now. Can you talk about how that may lead to some efficiencies or cost effectiveness?
Well, personalized medicine is really similar to what I mentioned, which is finding the right cohort of patient who's going to benefit from the covered item or service. And personalized medicine is trying to zero in on, for example, which chemotherapy treatment is going to more likely work or do more damage than cure. And the ability to curate whether a piece of medical device going to someone's home is going to help them rather than to have step therapy, 30 days of no treatment, 30 days of less expensive treatment. If we can figure out with data which patient is the right patient to get the most out of that covered item or service, then we're spending the premium dollar more efficiently. And that's personalized medicine.
And I think that access to enhanced data is going to just help that drive
it's going to be critical.